In the national for them, and that's exactly what he's done.
So here it is, the 2013 John Smith's Grand National. The call will be brought to you by Stuart Machin, Darren Owen and Mark Johnson. Let's join them.
They come in steadily. They're off. They jumped away for the 2013 running of the John Smith's Grand National. The 40 runners hurtled their way to the first with Because I Couldn't See and the grey swing bill prominent, with Bala Briggs and Sol and Kappa Blur and Chicago Grey down the inside with Rare Bob, Mr. Moonshine and Big Fella Thanks in the centre, and Oscar Time chases them as they prepare to rise.
And it will be Bala Briggs right out in front with Across the Bay as they got over the first fence. All the leaders are safely over, and they are all safely over the first fence. Lost Glory was last with Chicago Grey at the back of the field. They go over the second Across the Bay with Balthazar King on the outside. The first two over the second fence, and again they are all safely over. They're going towards the open ditch fence number 3. Balthazar King on the outside of Across the Bay, the first two, and then Tifa 3. Across the Bay hit that fence pretty hard. There was also a mistake by Chicago Grey right at the back of the field together with Lost Glory as they go towards fence number 4. Balthazar King will have the lead by a couple of lengths. He crossed over that. Again, all the leaders were safely over. Indeed, it looks as though all 40 have safely got over the first 4 fences.
And this is the one before Beaches, and it's Balthazar King, the leader. Across the Bay is right up there with the leaders. So too is Kellerspre, Imperial Commander. Oscar Time to the inside. Aurora's Encore racing down the centre. The Rainbow Hunter back in mid-division. Further back to Tarquinius, and now the field are facing up to Beaches Brook. The back marker is Chicago Grey. So it is Balthazar King, the leader. From Across the Bay, Kellerspre, Imperial Commander, and then Tifa 3. Oscar Time is there to the inside. Aurora's Encore, Seabass back in midfield, just watching the back markers going over Beaches, and they are all over Beaches. Now for the Foynehaven, Balthazar King Across the Bay, Oscar Time, Kellerspre, Sol just in behind them, and then comes Tifa 3, and Seabass is just off the leaders. There was a bad mistake towards the back there from Viking Blonde, and now the back marker is 90th minute. The canal turn is coming up, and Across the Bay will take off in front of the canal turn from Balthazar King, Oscar Time, Sol, Kellerspre, and then Tifa 3, followed by Seabass, Aurora's Encore, and Swing Bill. Imperial Commander always waiting, and Bala Briggs, and now they're coming up towards Valentine's.
Treacle has come down at the canal turn. The Rainbow Hunter was also another faller at the canal turn, and at 90th minute is getting tailed off. Big Fella Thanks has also come down as they took the canal turn. A bad mistake at the next before the ditch by Aurora's Encore, but it's Across the Bay who leads Balthazar King racing in second, and then Oscar Time and the grey Kellerspre leads another grey Swing Bill, who's also right up there with Sol through on the inside, Tifa 3 and Bala Briggs. Fafadi the Plasterer made a bad mistake as they crossed over that open ditch. Also very slow Viking Blonde at the back of the field together with Lost Glory as they go towards the one before the Melling Road. Balthazar King led Across the Bay over in second, and Sol on the inside jumped it in third. Oscar Time is in 4th position, followed then by Swing Bill and Kellerspre, who's towards the inside. Next is Imperial Commander in company with Seabass. Tatnan has gone at the back of the field. Tatnan is out of the race as they cross over the Melling Road and go towards halfway in the National. It's Across the Bay, Balthazar King and Sol and Oscar Time.
At 90th minute has been pulled up, but incredibly there are 35 horses still going in the John Smith's Grand National, and Across the Bay leads as they approach the 13th from Balthazar King, with Sol tracking the leaders and Oscar Time with the orange sleeves. Tifa 3 in the stripes is next, and then Kellerspre as they move towards the fence, which will be the second last in a circuit's time, and it's Across the Bay giving Henry Brook a great ride out in front. He leads by a couple of lengths from Balthazar King in the red jacket, who hopped over in second under Richard Johnson. Watching the stragglers go over, Viking Blonde is tailing off. Lost Glory is towards the rear with John Collin, What a Friend and Major Malarkey in Chicago Grey and Mumble's Head as Across the Bay leads them over the 14th. Balthazar King still sitting in second. Then a brace of greys. Kellerspre with the red cap from Swing Bill. Oscar Time and Tifa 3 and Sol. Imperial Commander, the black and white on the outside, track there by Katie Walsh and Seabass. Brother Ruby's next door on his own as they go to the chair. Across the Bay led from Balthazar King. Sol made a bad mistake, was impeded, and Colbert Station has unseated AP. Colbert Station has gone at the chair. They go to the water. It's Across the Bay from Balthazar King and Oscar Time and Tifa 3 and Kellerspre and Swing Bill. Aurora's Encore and Imperial Commander, and then Sol. Roberto Goldback is next, and then on his own and Seabass and Kappa Blur and join together, and Mr. Moonshine, who was a bit short of daylight on the inside, and then they race back towards the midfield where the likes of Tarquinius sit. Further back to Always Waning and Briggs, and for Paddy the Plasterer, Sunny Hill Boys well towards the rear. What a Friend is at last of those still going as they head down towards the Melling Road and the long run towards the 17th, and it's still across the bay from Balthazar King, T for 3 on his own, and Seabass shadowing each other and getting closer. They rise at fence 17.
Across the bay towards the outside of Balthazar King, and then T for 3 there between horses as they crossed over that next plain fence. John Cole is totally tailed off, and Lost Glory has been pulled up at the back of the field. Going on towards the next plain one, across the bay on the outside, dived at it, made a mistake. Through on the inside, Oscar Time. Roberto Goldback was not fluent over that. Chicago Grey, another mistake. What a Friend jumped it slowly and is immediately pulled up. Going over the open ditch across the bay, T for 3, followed by Oscar Time, and then Balthazar King, Aurora's Encore and Soul, Swing Bill, Seabass, and then On His Own, followed by Tarquinius and Mumble's Head and Kappa Blur as they go over another plain one, and across the bay has got a lead of about 3 lengths.
So as they go towards the one before Beaches, is across the bay, the leader by about 3 lengths, being followed by T for 3, and then Aurora's Encore, Tarquinius and Mumble's Head as they jump the one before Beaches, because I couldn't see, has been pulled up back in the pack, and they go over that, and Seabass made a mistake there. They go now towards Beaches Brook, and for Paddy the Plasterer also made a bad mistake. It's across the bay who leads the field towards Beaches. T for 3 in the mix with Oscar Time, Aurora's Encore, Balthazar King, and then Seabass, a mistake there from across the bay. Watching the midfielders going over it in midfield, Tarquinius with Swing Bill, and then a Kappa Blur being followed then by On His Own and Rare Bob, and then further back to Mr Moonshine, and they're up the Foynehaven fence, and over the Foynehaven it is across the bay, and T for 3 up the inside looking back. Weird Al made a bad mistake at the Foynehaven, so they go towards the canal turn then, and it is T for 3 and across the bay. Just in behind these, the Dark Jacket of Sol being followed by Oscar Time, Aurora's Encore, Balthazar King, Seabass, Swing Bill, and then Kappa Blur, and now they're about to face Valentine's, a whole host of them pulling up. Briggs pulled up, Weird Al pulled up, for Paddy the Plasterer has been pulled up, and so too has Kellisbury.
And John Collis, another one who has also been pulled up, and On His Own has gone back in the field at Valentine's. Going over the one after Valentine's, 5 out across the bay, led Oscar Time and T for 3, Aurora's Encore. Tarquinius made a mistake, Saint A also made a mistake. Harry the Viking has been pulled up at the back of the field as they go towards the final open ditch. Across the bay, and Oscar Time on the inside, T for 3, and Aurora's Encore with the first 4, followed by Kappa Blur, and then on the inside is Soul. Next in the field, Balthazar's King, then towards the outside, Seabass, and then Tarquinius. At the back of the field, Mr Moonshine has been pulled up as they go over the third from home in the National, and it's across the bay on the outside of T for 3, and through on the inside is Oscar Time, and that's the first trio as they go over the Melling Road. That group are then being followed by Aurora's Encore, who's now in 4th. Balthazar King is next to the field, but still many chances as they go towards the final 2 fences.
It's Oscar Time for Ireland and T for 3 for Wales, and they lead the national field as they head around towards the second last. Aurora's Encore is chasing them in 3rd. Then across the bay, behind these, Kappa Blur trying to make some progress towards them, and then Rare Bob, who's staying on. Seabass is being driven along in about 7th place as they race towards the penultimate fence. T for 3, Striped Jacket, driven along on the outside of Oscar Time. They're followed by Aurora's Encore with some 3 to 4 lengths to make up, and then in behind these, Rare Bob and Kappa Blur, and a bad mistake from across the bay. Seabass and Swing Bill are next, and it's T for 3 who goes on down towards the last from Oscar Time and Aurora's Encore. T for 3 went through the top of it, joined by Aurora's Encore, running a huge race on the outside, the 11-year-old. They race towards the elbow in the Grand National, and it's Aurora's Encore for Sue Smith and Ryan Mania. T for 3 is chasing. Oscar Time is back in 3rd. A furlong to go in the National. Aurora's Encore with a loose horse for company. It's 4 lengths clear from T for 3. Oscar Time is now beaten off, and it's Aurora's Encore for a huge shock in the National. The 11-year-old is driven out. A first ride in the race for Ryan Mania. He'll win for Sue Smith, and Aurora's Encore wins the John Smith's Grand National. Kappa Blur is 2nd, T for 3 3rd, Oscar Time is 4th, Rare Bob 5th, then Swing Bill, Sol, Tarquinius and Always Waning, Major Malarkey joined together, Seabass and Katie Walsh next, then across the bay, Balthazar King, Quiscover Fontaine and Any Currency.
No encore needed. Aurora's Encore has won the big one for Sue Smith and Ryan Mania. Ryan Mania's first ever ride in the Grand National, and it is a winning one. And it is a first winner for Sue Smith, who's done best to finish 7th twice previously. 66-1 last year's Scottish Grand National runner-up. He proved he had the stamina then, and he's proved it here again with this monster performance. Let's go and hear from the winning trainer, Sue Smith.
Right, Harvey. It brought you to tears, Harvey. That takes a bit of doing. That must be unbelievable.
It is. It's daft because when I was a lad, I broke my arm when I was 11. They took me in hospital to get it mended. When I woke up, I put the basin on my head. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I've just won Grand National." It's taken me 70 bloody years to do it.
Oh, how moving was that as well, to see him come through like that?
Absolutely good. Absolutely.
And he's a horse that really comes to himself in the spring, Harvey, just beaten in the Scottish Grand National.
Yeah, he was. He's killed with weight in the Scottish, but today we're real. Super. I don't know where the missus is.
You'll find her very shortly.
Let's grab Harvey.
Oh, I can't believe you're close to
Fantastic stuff, unless my eyes deceived me. That wasn't Sue Smith, but husband Harvey. Absolutely fantastic stuff. A real superb performance. Just to confirm, the 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Kappa Blur 2nd for Paul Maloney and Evan Williams, doing 2 better than the horse managed last year. T for 3, who looked like he'd made a winning move. His stamina flattened out. He ended up finishing 3rd for Nick Schofield and Rebecca Curtis. And 4th was Oscar Time. Another fantastic roaring performance from him to finish in the frame again. Sam Welly-Cohen and Martin Lynch. I think we now have Sue Smith, the better half.
Yeah, Sue Smith with me now. Sue's in various interviews here, but your husband is in tears, Sue.
Well, so shall I be in a minute.
What was that like, watching him come through?
Unbelievable. He gave him such a good ride, and it was unbelievable, you know. But we knew the ground was with him today. Just hope that everything else was right, and it was.
And you followed him, I'm sure, all the way around. He seemed to get a super run all the way around.
He did, yeah. He stayed down the middle, and he's had a bit of luck in running, hasn't he?
He certainly has. He didn't need any luck late on because he surged away.
And he didn't have a lot of weight either, so I suppose that's helped as well.
No, but he was so close and yet so far in the Scottish National, and yet he's come here and won, if you like, the one that really matters.
Yeah. I've just got to say that I feel sorry for Mr. and Mrs. Skeen, because they were the previous owners and they were wonderful owners, and they sold him because of ill health and everything last season, and I just want to say a very well done to them, because they were wonderful.
Yeah, very well said, and enjoy the day. I'm sure you will, so well done.
I will.
Well done.
Fantastic stuff from Sue Smith. What a fantastic operation she and Harvey run. A really good, solid team. And Aurora's Encore, a horse that she trained to finish 2nd in the Scottish Grand National this year.